One of the most frequent questions I get in the comments and just in person with people is, what do you use to track your sports card data? So in this video, I'm gonna transparently show you everything I do to track sports card data. You also might notice all the boxes behind me. We're in the middle of moving, but I still wanted to squeak in some time and make this video. One thing to note, I do not claim this to be the greatest method of all time of tracking sports cards. It's just something I've created that I've been working on slowly. I've been making tweaks and refining it to make it more and more efficient. I still think I have a lot of room to grow to make this process better, but I wanted to share it with you now, even though it's in beta form, so to say. So even though this is far from perfect, I wanted to show it with you now just so you could see something. Hopefully this will be helpful for you as you try to stay organized in the sports card hobby. All right, well, here's the sheet in all its glory. I'm gonna back it out a little bit so you can see it a little better. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff to look at here, but we're gonna go column by column. There's kind of 4 major columns that we look at, and I input things as I go throughout the year. So let's dive in a little closer here. This first column on the left is what I call operating expenses. So what this is, first I have all the supplies, top loaders, bubble mailers, a lot of the stuff. You notice I haven't bought a lot, but I have a lot of supplies left over from last year. And I also have a little thing here that shows me what I have recouped in terms of supplies. We'll get into this later, how we kind of calculate that figure. The next thing is I have membership expenses. So I have a PSA membership that I split with my brother-in-law. So it's normally $100 a year. We split it, we pay $50 a year. So there's that. And then I have a market movers account, which costs me $240 a year. Totally worth it, by the way. Okay, then we're into grading fees. And you'll notice I've spent quite a bit on grading this year, about $2,500. And I have them isolated in each different submission. I think in the future, I actually want to put like the order numbers and like be a little bit more specific so I could keep track of like what card came from what order. I haven't really been doing a great job of that so far, but nonetheless, here we have everything we've spent on grading fees for the year and the month that they were shipped. And then here again, you see kind of recouped. I'll show you how we calculate this. But that's operating expenses, a total of about $3,000 this year. Most of that in grading fees. Okay, so now we've just done this column right here. So now I have like a space here, and we go into this next column number 2, which is raw inventory purchases. Okay, we'll slide right over. Okay, you'll see a total up at the top, which is just a formula that combines all of these numbers here. Raw purchase total. First thing to point out is just a flat number that covers raw cards from packs, lots, and breaks, which I don't do a ton of, but apparently $892 worth, which is way too much. But I used to break out like what came from 2022 Prism, what came from 2023 Prism. And I just kind of like, I just stopped ripping, so I wasn't doing a lot of it, and I just kind of found it was hard to track, okay, what sale came from what thing. So I just kind of created like, okay, this is a pile of cards these are just my pile of raw cards that weren't for grading, basically. I think I could use some improvement on like how to really manage this. And on this column here, I don't actually have it labeled because it's in my head, but like really on this column, this is the price, and this is like what has been recouped, essentially. So you can see I've recouped 117 out of 892. Not great so far, but I have a lot still to sell. This is a couple random things. I have some hockey pucks that I bought and some other things, but that's the main thing. This is where it gets a little bit more helpful, I think. So here I list every single raw card that I've purchased, just like as a single. So not like buying like a lot of 10 cards or something, just everything I bought as a single. And I put the total purchase price here. You notice a lot of these are round numbers, like $40, $5, $2.50. Those are usually things I like bought at a show. And then some odd ones like $51.68. That's something I bought off of, let's say, eBay or another online platform. And so what I'm putting here is the final price. So after your shipping, after any kind of fees and whatever. So what hit your account for, in this case, would be $51.68. So you'll notice some of these are blue, some of these are white. So the ones that are blue are ones that I sent in to get graded. So I just indicate that by highlighting it blue. When I sell a card, I put the net earnings here in this recouped column. All right, so for this card as well, I graded this one. So after all the fees of grading and whatnot, which we'll get into on some of the other columns, my net take home was only $4 against $2.50. So there's $1.50 of profit here. And you can kind of see that when I make a profit on a card, I put it in green. When I lose money, like you can see these two cards right here, like this James Cook card, I picked it up for 37, I dumped it for 34. I probably, yeah, I actually remember this card. I probably had wanted to grade it, intended to grade it, but then I realized it was not grade worthy, so I just cut my losses and dumped it. This is one where I graded it and I didn't get a great grade, and so I was only able to recoup $38. But that goes on. And you can see I also put the month in which I purchased, which is helpful because I also keep track of like how I'm doing like per month. But you can see I've done a lot of singles, and I've had a lot of wins and I've had a lot of losses, and I have a lot that are still out at PSA that I don't have back yet. I find this method helpful. I think what I wish I could do is like have a better version of multiples, because I'm starting to buy, like you see here, Keontae George Optic Hollow. I bought 2 of them, and I actually bought another one down here, and I think another one here. And like I wish I had an easier way to be like, okay, just 4 Keontae George Optic Hollows, for instance. But I do like to like notate in what month I got them. So like that one I got in August, that one I got in July, etc. That's what I'm doing right now. It works. It at least helps me understand exactly what's being spent, what's being graded, etc., etc. So that's this column. So we just went over this and we went over this. Now we have another gap, and we have slab inventory purchases in this column number 3. So this one's a little bit easier to follow. Same thing here. So this formula just tells me the total of everything purchased here. These are just slabs that I bought. And it could be online, it could be at a show, same kind of thing. Like if it's a nice clean number, it was at a show. And same concept. Once I sell it, I put the recouped costs here. So you'll see some I lose money, some I make money, some I haven't sold yet. Like if you have if there's a white one here, which you kind of see I overpaid for some Giannis's back in January. But those are ones I still have in my possession. Okay, so anything that's white, I still have that card. I haven't sold it yet. This was really helpful for me to just keep track of what I'm buying per month. It doesn't do a great job of giving me a clear, like visual representation of my inventory. I use market movers for that. So if you use market movers, you can kind of have all of your slabs just like loaded up onto the app. And so I use that as well to just kind of track like prices and stuff. But nonetheless, there's that. So now let's get into the most important part, which is this sales column, this kind of final column here. So the first thing I'll point out actually is the elephant in the room. So you'll actually notice my net sales has been $11,526. My total expenses have been $15,290. So you might go, oh wow, this guy is hemorrhaging money. Sports cards, why would I listen to this guy? Well, while I may not be the best at sports cards, this represents like the realized profit, which is negative 3,000. However, it does not account for the value of the current inventory, which I have about 30 slabs here that I've purchased that I haven't sold. I have another 50 or so that have been graded, not to mention all the other raw cards. So, and not to also mention stuff from last year that I haven't sold. So when you account for like the total inventory value, there's a definitely a strong net positive. I have just been constantly reinvesting back into the business, using profits, buying more stuff. So I haven't really taken home a good net yet. But there you go. I'm just being transparent with you. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. All right. Like I've said before, I'm not like a super guru expert guy. But hopefully this is helpful. Okay, so anytime I make a sale, I log it in here. So what we're gonna look at this, we'll just use this like Wemby, for example. So This is a PSA 10 Victor Wembanyama Prism base. This is one that I actually graded myself. Total sale price was $115. I sold this on eBay and it had a platform fee of $15.99. I pulled this number directly from eBay. Here in this column, I have a supplies, which is just kind of an arbitrary number that I put in. It's approximately the cost of like the bubble mailer and any kind of like cardboard, like packing material here. So I deduct that kind of from my profit here. I usually do, I don't know why I haven't done the exact number every time. I really should do this, the exact number. But again, I'm not perfect. For this one, I put $1.15. A lot of them put $1.10. It's just kind of a made up number to calculate and to build up for the cost of supplies. I really actually do need to standardize this. Operation. So operation is just like a 1.5% fee. Don't do it on every single card. Again, I need to standardize this. It's kind of a concept I'm still playing with and trying to just figure out like how this works. But really what this is trying to do is allocate a certain amount of money that covers these fees right here, these membership expenses, right? So if I'm spending almost $300 a year in these expenses, I need to make sure I'm pulling profit out to cover those things. Right now I'm at $169.40. So the way I've reconciled that is just by most of the time putting like either just some like arbitrary number or like a percentage. Again, this is very beta. This is very beta. So like, I think there's some room to grow on like how this is done, but the purpose of that is to come back and kind of help cover these costs. I need to make sure I need to make sure I'm pulling money out to save for these. Okay, back to this. Now you'll see there's a grade fee here, $17.09. So when we go back to our grading, certain batches, depending on how many cards I sent, was there a particular deal going on at that time, how much was the cost of shipping, etc., etc. So this came from this shipment right here, $17.09. Again, I said in the beginning, like I want to make it easier. Like in my head, I know kind of which one came from which order, which card came from which PSA or SGC order, but I want to highlight this better in the sheet. But for this particular one, I know it came from this order, $17.09. Okay, so after all of this, after our platform fee, taking out some for supplies, taking out some to cover our PSA membership, and et cetera, and the total bottom line cost of grading, we had a profit of $79.05. So once I have this number, $79.05, I find it on this sheet. Okay, so we're gonna find Victor Wembanyama Prism. All right, I've sent in a number of these cards, but my total bottom line cost was $55.85 for this card, and my profit here was $79.05, which is a total profit of about $24 or so, $23.50. So it's good. We highlighted this in green, so we know that was a successful win. So as I put in costs in the supplies, operation, grade fee columns, they will populate over on another spot. So as I put in supplies, over in the supplies section, as I put recoup, I have this formula here that will total up everything in the supplies column. Same thing with operation and grading fee. So I have this formula here. This recoups everything in this column, and grading fee right here recoups everything here. So it's helpful as I add things, I can kind of count it against how much am I setting aside for supplies, membership expenses, and grading fees, etc. But yeah, that's the whole sheet. I track every single purchase, every single dollar goes onto this. Like I said, there's a lot of this in this sheet that I'm still trying to figure out, trying to make it work the best way. Really would be open to your feedback. But hopefully this was helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching. As I flagged in the beginning, this is definitely not the greatest way to track your sports card data. I just wanted to be transparent with you and show you what I do. Hopefully this was helpful for you. What are some things you liked? What are some things you didn't like? What are some things you would do differently? I'd love to hear about it in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more content like this. Catch you next time.